We've got it none other than Megan Olson, Alpha News and Review on Al in the afternoon. Megan, I'd like you to meet Connor. Connor, Megan, we're doing a co-hosting thing because Connor's about as much into this Olympic stuff as I am. So I've got a co-host, Megan. Thanks for being on the program.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and good to see you, Connor.
Hey, Megan.
So I was following along the news this week and realized nothing happened. So this is going to have to be cut short. Did you get anything? I mean, the Alpha, you guys follow the digits and stuff and the clicks and all that. Did anything happen?
Absolutely nothing. No.
See, I know.
So, it was a pretty crazy week. Just going to start off. We got some crazy things that happened last week as far as crime goes, but just to kind of ease us into things, I wanted to touch up on a story we talked about last week about a fourth grader from the Sartell St. Stephen area schools. She went on Fox News. This kind of brought a lot of attention to that school district. And so all the Republican Congress people here in Minnesota decided to sign on to a letter asking the Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, about that school district's use of COVID relief funds for this Equity Alliance Minnesota $80,000 contract thing. And when was that? Wednesday or Thursday? So now turn around 5 days later, all of a sudden the school has completely backtracked and they've decided to get rid of that contract and end all of their communications with Equity Alliance Minnesota. But the kicker is that they've backtracked so hard into putting the blame and putting the target away from their school district and onto Equity Alliance Minnesota, saying that they are the ones who scammed them by not being transparent with the school district in the first place. So really a lot happened in the last week. That school district was almost sued, but they backtracked pretty hard and saved themselves from that. So
well, you gotta end the story the way this ended as well, Megan. I'm sorry for having to do this. Maybe you guys haven't broke it with Alpha News yet, but as long as we're there on the Olympics, they did get a gold medal for backpedaling.
Oh gosh, that's horrible.
I'm sure they could.
See that coming,
really? Must be a dad. Wow.
All within 14 days. The story first broke about 14 days ago with this fourth grader, and now all of a sudden she went on Fox News, and that sparked a whole controversy that worked out in their favor. So it goes to show that advocacy is really important, and speaking up at your local school board meetings is really important too, because you can definitely impact a lot of change there.
I should also mention, as long as you talk about speaking up, not all the jokes are going to be gold here, but that's how you tell the difference.
We're getting punny. We're getting punny.
You lay down the bad ones, and then our good ones stand out.
That's see, I'm just laying the pavement. All right, that was a great story, because I'll tell you what, that little young lady, although well spoken already, she's got a future ahead of her, because this is going to do nothing but embolden her. She did the right thing. Went home and said, "Mom, they told me not to tell you this, but." Good for her.
That might have been the only
thing
that happened.
Yeah.
Only thing.
What
so as we also kind of know too, things have been kind of ramping up as far as COVID-19 goes. It's far from over. The Delta variant has definitely shaken everyone up. People are pushing for, vaccines. They're now doing in Minnesota where you can get $100 from the state if you get your first dose and you haven't gotten it yet. So a lot of schools are backtracking on their policies as well as far as vaccines and masks go. And we heard last week from the CDC that they also backtracked. So maybe a silver medal for backtracking here from the CDC.
Oh, now it's laughable. Now you can laugh a little. You brought it around.
So the CDC has backtracked saying that, actually we should keep wearing masks even if you are vaccinated. So what did the vaccine really do? We don't know, because now they're coming out and saying that we should be masked. A lot of businesses are going back and asking patrons to be masked as well. And then here in Minnesota, the University of Minnesota, which I'm a graduate of, also backtracked on their no mask policy, and they're now going to be requiring masks for the fall semester. Okay. So it's interesting because that is an age demographic that's older, but then what we're seeing down in Rochester Public Schools is that they're requiring masks for only ages 12 and younger, because those people are ineligible for the vaccine. So we have two different kind of approaches to handling the pandemic, and quite frankly, neither work.
And evidently, if you got the shot, you can still get it, you can still spread it, you can do everything but die from it. So, maybe I should just get back to mask. It's a little on the crazy side.
Absolutely.
Well, I want you to follow this. If Alpha would do this for me, I read a story that, I don't want to say it's England, some other places, they are offering cash money to get the shot. And they found people that were going back. Let's say you're really in need of money, and it's like giving blood, right? You just give too much. They're going back and getting the shot, going back and getting the shot.
Oh my goodness.
Money, addicts and that sort of thing.
Entrepreneur.
And getting unbelievably ill from that much COVID being thrown at everybody. But we're
yeah.
paying, and there's no registry about who's got and who doesn't.
Yeah.
So literally, you can just go shop and shop and shop and at $100 at a time. They haven't thought through this $100 thing very well at all.
Oh.
Well, and about the whole no registry thing, I don't think it's a registry that's available to the public. And I think there's definitely some sort of checks and balance system behind the scenes there that we don't know about. There has to be.
That'll make me feel comfortable. That makes me feel real good.
It's regulated here in the States, that's happening in other countries, but we haven't heard about that happening here. So I would assume we kind of have a registry of sorts.
Yeah, I don't.
Those vaccine churners are getting tossed in the back of vans.
And the other thing that I don't understand, okay, so we don't have massive testing anymore. They don't go to colleges and everybody come in and get a free test and all this, and we're finding. And then they used to say if it was at 5%, we get concerned, 15%, we've got a problem. Well, now we're down to half the people have gotten their shots, so I presume they're not going in and getting tested for COVID, right? They've had their shot. They're going about their business. So it's only sick people that have got symptoms that go to the doctor that are getting tested. Why would 3% or 4%, where we're at today, be an alarming number? If you're only going to test sick people, then you'd expect to be higher than normal, and it isn't even up to 5% yet.
I think it really comes back to the politics of control. And that's kind of what we're seeing is that, the first dose of power the government got from making these decisions, and universities and public schools as well. That first dose of power is really hard to let go of. And we're seeing that now as the second wave comes and that power isn't being fully released. And we've even heard that from the governor himself, who said that, another emergency order and another mask mandate isn't necessarily off the table. He said he's not doing it now, but he's also never said that he wouldn't do it again. There's that element as well.
Are we back on the masks work thing? I thought we were on, they work, then they don't work, and then they do work, and I don't remember where we're at now. Do they work again?
If you have two, it's twice as much. Okay. What's 2 times 0? I don't remember.
What if we did like a sandwich bag or something over the head, something like that?
Well, and that's a funny thing too, is
through.
A lot of pediatricians have come forward and said that this last year has been really hard on kids, and specifically that 12 or younger age demographic who were wearing masks in schools, and how they saw a spike in strep throat, and that these kids were coming in, having panic attacks, having allergic reactions, having bad facial rashes and strep throat and coughing and other symptoms that kind of look like COVID, but really it's just their masks are gross and they wear them every day, and parents don't do laundry every day. It's the reality of the situation.
We got to go to break. When we come back, if you have no more news, we'll talk Olympics. We got a lot of Olympic stuff. But
I got news.
I would throw out that the last announcement they had, there was one person who passed today, which is one too many. Yesterday there were 6, but of those 6, when some reporter asked, well, 1 was from this weekend, 5 were from 5 months ago when they forgot to report
February and March.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's like, I think if they could just find a way of being more honest with us right up front, people would say something. But when we're down to 1 a day, and at one point we're at 110 a day dying, we had a 99% decrease, it's going to be tough for them to pull off this mask mandate.
We don't need to go back to square one for sure.
All right, we've got Megan Olson, Alpha News and Review. More after this. And of course, we do not suggest putting plastic bags over your head. A third mask, you bet. Megan Olson, Alpha News in Review. I think you hit all the big stuff. There was nothing else that happened in the state last week.
Oh, absolutely not. There was no beheadings or anything.
Oh, boy. There was that.
Yes, there were beheadings. Are
we going to talk about that?
We are, but before we talk about that, I wanted to touch on another story in Minneapolis. It's the grand finale.
Megan, I got to get on you. You lead with that stuff. You always lead with that stuff on the news.
I have a point, Al. I have a point.
All right, fair enough. Go ahead.
So last week on July 31st, we saw a group of 20 people kind of just hanging out around the corner of Grant and LaSalle up in that uptown area where the George Floyd Autonomous Zone is. And we've had a lot of problems over the summer. And there was a little scuffle that kind of broke out. We obtained a video of it. 2 women leave the scene. They enter a vehicle and just drive straight into the crowd. So those people were taken to the hospital. They apparently also had unintentional stab wounds. I'm not really sure how you get an unintentional stab wound, but it happens.
It happens. Wow.
And then 2 people were also sent to the hospital. So this is kind of your typical Minneapolis crime news story. And I think we've been really desensitized to this. I mean, it's been happening since the riots last June. And it's sad that we're being desensitized because then over in Shakopee, something happens.
No, before we get to that, only you folks in Minneapolis could use the term unintentional stabbing. Like somehow that just happens. Down here where I live, if there's a stabbing, somebody did it. This isn't accidental.
Do you like walk into the knife? I don't know.
We're going to become the Minneapolis man. You heard of the Florida man thing? Yeah. You Google your birthday with the Florida man.
Yeah, this is it.
It's going to be Minneapolis man.
But this is your lead in, and I get where you're going with this. This is nuts. I don't know how you people go outside up there. I don't know. Don't go outside.
You know, that's Minneapolis, and it's kind of starting to extend into the suburbs, which is really concerning because just this last week, there was a brutal murder, and it was caught on someone's Snapchat video, and the video was circulated all over, and the platforms didn't really do a good job of kind of marking that as graphic. I mean, I was sent it without any warning, and I had to see these graphic images, and it was horrible. So essentially what happened is this 55-year-old woman, her name was America Thayer, she was brutally murdered by a man who she was dating at the time of her death. Well, sort of, I guess. She tried to break up with him. He didn't really like that, so he stabbed her, and then he said in court that he cut her head off in self-defense, which she likely was dead at that point. But they were dating. She wanted to break up, and he didn't. And I guess that was his reaction to it. And it's really unfortunate.
I saw some article about they did say that she did die of the beheading. That is what ultimately killed her. Which again, back to that'll happen. There's not a lot here except for me. What's wrong with the people your age, Megan? Connor, what is wrong with you people?
That's like double my age.
Well, yeah, no, but you walk out, you look outside, and some guy literally beheaded his girlfriend.
Oh,
stream that
and
thing.
And put it. He's running around it outside his car, driving around.
And
who
someone put it on Snapchat.
Who in AG Double Toothpicks takes a video and posts it? You call 911.
It's all about the views.
Something is wrong with you people. Something is terribly wrong with
I'm
your
surprised it's not a TikTok.
And it's a preventable crime. This whole thing wouldn't have happened if he were in prison like he was supposed to be. So he was in jail. He was supposed to be released, but he failed a drug test and also was deemed mentally unfit to enter into society. That was overridden by a judge who released him anyways, and this was back in March. So had things kind of gone as planned according to the court documents, and this particular judge didn't go out of his way to free this man, this never would have happened.
Well, and they'll go back and look at that, and it's so hard. You don't want to keep anybody in jail that doesn't have to be there. But whether you knew the guy was a knucklehead like that, I have no idea. But the fact you people post that, and you sit here, and those big companies can take off a meme if you put something on that says the vaccine don't work. They can cut that stuff off. They don't have a button for heads out the window, and that just stops the stuff.
Not to get political here either, but I heard he was looking to get deported instead of charged.
He said that in court. That was
begging
reported.
The judge, hey, just deport me.
Here's the funny thing too is Alpha News has been trying to locate his country of origin. We've contacted the Shakopee Police Department, and we've also contacted ICE because he had some issues with ICE in the past as well. And no one will really say where he's from. We're not hearing back from those organizations. It's really unclear where he's from. The police report says he's a Puerto Rican man. If he is Puerto Rican, well, then he's technically a U.S. citizen. So where would he be deported to? It is the real question. But yes, he did ask to be deported.
Good. You ask all you want. You beheaded a woman. You're going to stay in jail. We're going to keep you there until
it was in self-defense. Self-defense. That's what he said.
And then when the head's off and you drive it outside your car window, that was just to prove you won.
She could have come back a zombie. You don't know.
That's crazy
stuff.
That's just crazy.
It's not funny, but it's kind of funny.
It's nuts. How do you people leave your houses up there? How do you leave
You
your
too.
home?
Hey, Al, you too. I don't know if you knew this, but we also reported on new numbers from the Minnesota Department of Public Safety, and crime has risen equally in Minneapolis as it has in greater Minnesota.
Oh, no, yeah, okay. Now, I will tell you this. You had a beheading in Shakopee. You know what I saw the other day? I saw a guy cross without going through the crosswalk. He walked right down the middle of it and crossed the street.
Lock him up.
That's the difference, Megan. We don't have this craziness out here. You know why? Because we're normal people.
Lock him up, then deport him.
We're just normal down here.
Or deport them, then lock them up.
Well, and there's been controversy too over people calling Shakopee a suburb versus it being like greater Minnesota. It's a suburb.
Oh, you ain't pushing that out on us.
Rural Minnesota can have
They're trying to.
Outstate can have Shakopee.
That's too much. Yeah. Have anything else for us, Megan? Your thoughts real quick on that young lady that won the gold in the gymnastics from Minnesota?
Suni Lee.
Yeah.
My girl. I am a huge fan of anyone from Minnesota. My whole family can vouch for that. My fiance can vouch for that. Anyone from Minnesota doing anything Olympics or otherwise, my heart stands with them. And I'm so proud of her.
What's up, beheading?
And stop, not that.
Let me ask you this, Megan, and I'm not trying to make this political, but it's kind of political, and I'm ripping on the governor a little bit. She wins on Thursday morning, Friday night, whatever day it was for us. So he instantly declares it Suni Lee Day in Minneapolis in Minnesota, right?
Oh, she's in Tokyo.
Yeah. She isn't even here to celebrate. She doesn't get the key to the city. She doesn't get nothing. That should have been done on a final.
To be fair, I think she can come back and celebrate for as long as she wants.
Oh, she could do it. She'll always be the one though that Biles would have beat if she would have went in. She's always going to have that asterisk, which is just too bad.
That's the sad part too. But you know what? Simone Biles was there cheering her on. She was cheering on her whole team, so she couldn't have handled it better any other way. So,
Ashley, we got to fly. Always a pleasure. Love having you on the program.
Yeah, I'll see you next week.
Ashley, where's Ashley?
I don't know where you got that from.
Ashley Hanley. There you go. My news. Megan Olson, Alpha News and Review on How in the Afternoon.